Welcome, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I was just I was just trying to search around to see where I sent where we were messaging at because I get messages from Discord, my email, uh Instagram, Facebook. So I'm like, who did I can't remember where you and I talked. And it was I think it was Facebook
Mess,
Messenger.
yeah, Messenger, and then you shot me a few texts.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You had your number listed for your company. So hell yeah,
Yep.
there we go. Oh my goodness. So sometimes when I put in my calendar, like
Mm.
podcast with a certain person, next to it, I'll put like an icon, like, or I mean, FB for Facebook or IG for Instagram. So I know which platform I use to converse with them. So
Right. Well, I mean, makes sense, especially for like follow-ups and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what I do for my business is,
I'm sure.
okay, yeah, okay, where did you reach out to me? Because it's next door, Facebook, Google, you name it, it's
Oh, you
always there.
probably got
So
more than me. I'm sure. Yeah, right.
I actually doubt that one. I don't have too many more than that considered because like Facebook, Google, Instagram, next door, and then
Are you
YouTube. And I
listed on
think that's
Angie's list or something too?
Angie's List is contractors. So I
Gotcha.
don't think,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're a nightmare. I did contracting for a few years. So they are an absolute nut. I would recommend everybody away from Angie's List or Angie's, I think it's Angie's Leads now or something like that. But
I think it's just called Angie, or they shortened it or something.
right. Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
they take a significant amount of the profit that the contractors get from a job.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
So I'm guessing like they some of these guys will do it to get their name out there, like to start getting some kind of, leads or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, weirdly enough, Home Depot has their own like contractors list too. So if
Oh,
that's the one I'd recommend, like if you're looking for a contractor or something like that, go on Home Depot. They've got their pros that you have to go through a background check, all that kind of stuff for Home Depot. So
interesting.
versus Angie, which they don't verify any. So it's
Oh
you don't know who
Lord.
you're getting. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
a bad company.
I've never used Angie's List.
Yeah, no,
Like
I've been extremely handy, so I don't use any of those things.
I've looked up, so a few months ago, uh my wife and I were being petty with each other, right? We were in like a spat, right?
Yeah,
And she was griping about something, and then right after she's done, griping to me about something, and we're arguing, uh, she's talking about, when are you going to put those closet doors on?
oh
I
no.
want to order the closet doors, and
Yeah.
I was like, no. So we were, she was at work, I was at work, so and we're having this like text back and forth, texting more.
Oh,
So
those are fun.
oh, it was great. And we don't argue very often anymore. We used to. I mean, we've been married 31 years, so we all the
Wow.
arguing's mostly done. Okay, like
Well,
we're
you
we're
know
good.
how to argue in the point where it's a conversation as opposed
Exactly.
to, yeah,
We
somebody gets
just
hurt and then somebody
whenever we're
gets hurt.
bored, yeah, we're like, okay, let's start a fight. Okay, so I said, so I went on to Angela's list. The only time I went on Angie's list, I went on there and
Yeah,
signed up. I went through the process to look for how much it would cost for somebody to come in. And if I have all my own parts, I have all my own supplies, I have everything, hinges, handles, all the
right.
hardware, the two doors, everything, paint. Okay. All you
Yeah,
need to do is have somebody come in and hang them so that they're straight and they close right and open right. And,
right.
so it was like 380 bucks. Okay.
That's better than I thought it was going to be,
Yeah, it's
but
actually
that's
better than I thought it would be. So
right.
I screenshotted it, sent her the screenshot through text,
Mm.
and I was like, "Here you go. You can go ahead and take care of this, and you go through the whole process. Have somebody do it because I'm not doing it unless you're going to be nice to me." So she sent a message
There
back.
you go.
She sent this little sad face emoji back, like, "Oh, okay, no, I want you to do it."
Fair,
So
fair.
anyway, the point is that's the only time we went on Angie's list, and yeah, I'll probably do it again in the future if we have another board fight or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to more or less come up with a solution and okay, hey, you don't want me to do it, you want it done, okay, here's
Yeah,
the resource.
I'm telling you now. And when I told her, I said that when I put these doors up, uh, if you're mean to me, like within 2 days after that, I'm going to take them back down. Like it's real easy to take them off. It's real easy, okay?
It really is.
So it's a lot harder lining them up, right? Getting them
Oh,
level, getting them square.
nightmare, nightmare.
So once I got the holes set in there, once I got the screws in, where they're supposed to be for the hinges, I could take it down real freaking easy. Okay. So I'll just leave them in the closet. I don't care. And she's like,
Right.
no, no, it's fine. So those are our arguments now. We don't have the energy like we used to argue for 4 days. You know what I'm saying?
Fair. Yeah. Don't blame me. That it's yeah,
Oh yeah. It's not even worth
just
it.
ick. Right. That's
But
the truth.
welcome, man. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick and then we'll go into some of your background and how you got to where you're at now.
Sounds good. So I'm Sam with Sam's Mobile Sharpening. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, very easy and basic.
That go awesome. That was simple. Yeah, I can't remember how you and I met or how I found your
I'll give
page.
you that one.
Okay,
So
good.
Jeff Blaisdell. So
Okay.
Alter Forge Airsoft.
Yes.
Yeah. So episode 322, if you're looking for that episode.
Yeah.
But Jeff Blaisdell is one of my closest friends and has been
Oh.
since I was, oh God, like 12, I think,
Oh, okay.
like sixth grade. He took me from being quiet and with, like, you could not get me to talk, period, to what you see in front of you,
Really?
making YouTubes, all that kind of stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, before then, it was, you could not get me to talk. But meeting him, for some reason, he was just that push to come out of my shell. And I mean, you saw how spastastic he was. So
Oh yeah.
he's a good person.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great talking with him.
Yeah. He's great human being.
Oh, this is cool. Okay. Now I do remember. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What a cool this is what I love about doing this as well is when I meet new people. And I'm going to tell you how Jeff found me, Alter Forge. He found me through one of the
The podcast.
podcasts.
Yep.
Yeah, with OG KG with
That's
Kevin.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and which means a lot more now since Kevin passed away recently. So this is like, yeah, so I had him on the podcast in March,
Yeah.
like the last week of March, and he's 52 years old in great shape, but has had some health issues recently, just like real recently, and had for a couple
Wow.
tests and then had a massive heart attack, passed away the beginning of May. So like the first or second week of May.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So,
Yeah.
but Alter Forge, Jeff found our podcast together, and then was like, oh, and he reached out through my website through the I have a little form for people to sign up if they want to be a guest, and he reached out through that, and then him and I were on, and then I saw your comment on something, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's great, man.
So
So
funny enough, I talk to him probably every day, but
yeah,
the day that he filled out that form, he called me and he was like, "Yeah, no, it would be so cool to be on this." I'm like, "Jeff, reach out to him and just see if you can get on it. The worst you're going to get is no."
yeah,
So, I mean,
exactly.
that's the one thing that, like, doing business and that kind of stuff, the worst answer you're going to get is no. If you
That's
don't
right.
ask, it's a no instantaneously. If you do ask, okay, worst you get is a no.
That's it.
Simple as that.
It's simple.
Yeah.
I had that same mentality most of my life. Like when after I got out of the military, when I would go, like the first job I had through in a factory was like I started out the bottom. Never worked in a factory before. It was the first job that I could get coming out, and my wife and I had just had our first child, and so I just took whatever came up first, and then I go there. I'm packing parts. They put up job bids on the board. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know what it was. Okay, quality control. I have no idea what that is. Okay, I never worked. And so I bid on the job, and these guys are like, you can't bid on that job. I'm like, why not? All they can say is no. Like,
Right.
so yeah, I don't care. Like, and I actually got it. And so I had to take some tests, see if I could read a micrometer and do whatever, like mechanical aptitude stuff. And then the next thing it came up was like machine operator. I'm like, know nothing about it. I'm going to sign up for it. They're like, you're not going to do that. Like I said, all they can
Well,
say is
watch me.
no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, and it also shows that you have initiative too, because, okay, hey, you're not qualified. Cool. At least
teach
you're
me.
showing initiative, and they might go, hey, you're not qualified, but we'll do this, this, and this, and then you can be qualified.
Absolutely. And I feel like anytime they put a job bid up in-house, like in a company, they already know that the people that are bidding on it don't know what they're doing on this particular, they don't have experience on that thing. That's why they're putting the
Right.
job bid up. So it's yeah, my motto is always that. Hey, all they can say is no, it's fine. And I
Yep.
use that when I talk with people too. Like I mean, same thing. I reach out to a
Right.
ton of people for this podcast, and I'm like, hey, and sometimes I'll put at the bottom of my text, like when I kind of introduce who I am and what I'm doing and what I'm looking for from them, like with, trying to be a guest on here.
Yeah.
I'll say, hey, it's no big deal. If not, if you don't want to be on, no worries. Like for real,
Yeah.
no
More
big
just
deal.
making it an easy out, so to speak. That's
Yep.
what I do for a lot of clients too, is basic, like, when they're kind not really on the fence, but on the
Yeah.
fence, like, I'll send a message to say, hey, I have openings this next week. If you want to get on the books, you can. No worries if you don't want to.
Right.
I mean, it takes so much pressure off, because, like, I've worked with so many really, really, really good salespeople, and it's like, oh my God, shove it down your throat. That's not me. That's not me at all. So
Uh-huh.
being able to take, like, just okay, hey, do you want to do it? Cool. And it's very refreshing. I
Yeah,
found a lot of people say, hey, thank you for not putting a crazy amount of pressure on it, because, I mean, it made it a lot easier,
it does.
which, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it
There's a
makes it
balance.
more personable.
It really does. And there's a balance. Like, I mean, obviously as a business owner yourself, you can't just be wishy-washy. Like
Right.
you got to help somebody get,
Right.
make a decision. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
next week you give them two options, right?
Yep.
Monday or Tuesday, is that good? Or,
Yep.
7 or 8, like whatever, you kind of help them through the process, but yeah, without being pushy, it is a balance. It's good.
Right. Yeah.
Well, how did
No.
you get into that? What did you, were you always into
Oh,
like sharp, stabby things or?
yeah, a little bit, yes. So, back in high school, kind of dabbled with knife sharpening, but then a few years ago, I went through a plethora of injuries, but had my most recent one, which is, chop saw decided it wanted to try and take my thumb.
Ooh.
So I was volunteering for a company, and the blade went through level 2 cut gloves, and right, that's the only bone I've ever broken. So, but
Mm.
during that time, I had a lot of my mom's side of the family say, hey, start up your business, that kind of stuff. And I've just gone from there, so to speak. So originally
Okay.
started out with contracting, and then leaned more into the knife sharpening, and now exclusively knife sharpening, because, I mean, I make more money, I enjoy doing it, and I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Not only that, but yeah, there's not a whole lot of variables involved. Like when you're doing contract work, like
It can be a nightmare.
handyman type of thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like most people don't realize these guys driving around with trailers that have, painting or drywall or whatever. Like you've got
Yep.
to go through a ton of work to get the job in the first place. Like
Yeah. And
you're
then, not to
spending a lot
mention,
of gas, a lot of
yeah,
time. You got to get them on the phone. You got to talk. And then most people don't know how to explain what they need done, or even if
right,
they know what needs done,
right.
because some of them are
Well,
undecided.
yeah. No, the really hard part was, like, you go and do estimates and that kind of stuff. And I could beat pretty much any contractor in the area, just because I had very little overhead. But still, you get over half of the clients that you want to come out for a bid or something like that. Over half of them turn away. With the knife sharpening, maybe 1 in 10, maybe,
Really?
and that's being generous. Like, anybody that reaches out and actually wants the sharpening, they get on the books, just for the fact of, okay, they see the pricing, they know the pricing. Simple as that. There is no, okay, I'm coming out, I'm giving you a bid, okay, drive.
Hmm.
So much easier.
Well,
So
it's
much
it's
easier.
such a simple process as well. Like you don't have to tear up their house. You don't have to,
Right.
because that's, a big issue. Like my wife, we're getting ready to redo. one of the last rooms in the house that needs redone, which is our master bedroom and bathroom.
Okay.
So that bedroom is the last one in the house that needs fully done. We haven't done anything to it at all. So since we moved here, we've been here 20 years, and
Oh
it
wow.
still
Okay.
has popcorn ceiling. It still has, kind of messed up walls. The carpet's kind of, and now recently the tub, the fiberglass tub, the bottom padding board has been worn out, so it cracked when
Okay.
you step in there,
Oh.
like it would flex.
Oh. Yeah.
So it,
Oh.
it cracked a little bit. So we put this thing down. It covers it, decent enough, but it probably
Right.
drips a tiny bit or whatever. It's time to do it. So,
Yeah.
oh
Sounds about
yeah,
right.
it is. And so we still have the original carpet in there. It's kind of, so we're planning that now. So in 2 weeks
Okay.
we're gonna demo it, do the whole thing, and I know how to do it. My son knows how to do it. Most of my sons, all three of our sons know how to do pretty much everything, because
Good.
all the years we've been here, when they were growing up, all the rooms we've redone, they were
Yeah.
in on it. I'm like, let's go.
Well, I
Let's,
mean,
you
they're
know,
so invaluable skills because I mean, so many people don't get any of those skills, so they're just high and dry and okay, in need of a contractor or something along those lines. I
yeah,
mean, there's some people that okay, they'd much rather trade their time for just the money part of it because their time is worth more than paying somebody else to do it. In
hmm,
that case, okay, hire a contractor, but
right,
the not learning how to do it's so hard, especially like my generation and younger. I'm 30 years old, so
yeah,
still a spring chicken.
right,
But you get so many kids that don't know how to do anything
yeah.
anymore. And it it's sad. It's really sad.
It is. It
Yeah.
kind of is. I'm just like, we my goal as a parent, my wife and I, same thing. Our goal was to, when we started wanting to have kids, our
Mm,
goal was to teach our kids how to be an adult. Like I want to teach you everything you need to know to be a functioning,
right.
well-adjusted adult. Like it's not so we can hang out with you when you're, 6 and 7. Those are fun times. It's great. And we had a lot of those good times. But
Right.
you gotta, as a parent, you have a responsibility to teach, because we were kids once. We all were little kids.
Yep.
If our parents didn't teach us stuff, and we get out in the real world and we're like, Mom, Dad, why didn't you teach me like how to, come on now. So
Yep.
we always
It's a
wanted to
nightmare.
prepare them, yeah, for a lot of different things. So when we built the deck on the back of the house, I had all of our kids helping, our two daughters as well. I had them post hole digging with, we used manual tools. I mean,
Yep.
except for a drill and a saw and stuff, but digging the holes, we're using a manual post hole digger.
Yep.
If we had to chop a rock or root out of the way, we're using a mattock, or a pickaxe. I mean,
Yep.
I'm like, we're using hand tools. You're going to
Yeah.
get some calluses.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, eventually you can use the fun tools, but at the same time, you're going to learn how to
right.
do it the manual way just in case that's all you have.
Exactly. Yep.
'Cause-
It was funny because when our three boys started playing football, when they would go to practice, especially 2 a days, like the summer stuff, they would do like they would have a sledgehammer and they would
Yep.
take turns hitting
Tires.
the tire. Yep.
Yeah.
And they were the one of the only kids in the whole team that knew how to swing it the right way. Isn't that crazy? Because when we would chop down like
Jesus
a small
Christmas.
stump, or we had to dig up a stump,
Yeah.
I didn't hire a stump grinder to come in and grind it out.
Okay.
We would dig out the stump, because I have three boys and they're big, strong. When they were teenagers, I'm like, we're going to chop this out together. And so we'd all take turns using the axe, the mattocks, whatever, and the shovels, and dig out the roots, dig out underneath it. I mean, it's a lot of work, and in
Right.
100 degrees in South Carolina in the
Mm,
summer. So they knew how to swing these axes, these mattocks, overhead, sideways, like, and so they get there and they're like, nobody knows how to swing a sledgehammer. I was like, really? It's so
yeah.
weird. Like, just, how you grab it up like two-handed like this, and then when you
Right.
swing it down, you bring your hands together.
Yeah.
It seems so natural, but they didn't know how to do that. It's like
Well,
our sons had to teach them.
it's the whole thing of common sense. It's not so common anymore.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. So you grew up, are you in the same area that Ultra Forge is
Uh,
in? You guys grew up
No, so
together?
he's in Minnesota, but he grew up out here, which I'm in Washington State, so Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
But he grew up out here, then he moved to Minnesota, and I stayed here because I just like it here more, and I don't have any ties to anybody else, so
Okay. Yeah.
it makes it easy. And I mean, I just like it out here a lot. It's a giant rainforest, so it's wet a lot of the year,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's really hard to beat, especially like the summers being so green and luscious, and it
It's beautiful,
there's
man.
nowhere like it, so to speak.
It is so pretty out there.
Yeah. It,
Yeah, it's Oregon. I remember the first time, funny because Rambo, the First Blood, the very
yeah.
first Rambo movie, I think was filmed out in Oregon, somewhere in that Pacific
Oh,
Northwest area.
okay. Yeah.
And I was like, that is so pretty out there, man. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot of rain, but you get a
Yeah.
lot of that greenery out there that's beautiful.
Yeah. I got another video that was actually, well, movie that was filmed out here. The Goonies.
Oh, the Goonies, really?
Yeah, that was filmed out this way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, if people are into it, like, I think Twilight. Twilight's
Twilight.
in about, if I, as the crow flies, about a 30 minutes
Oh, okay.
fly, so to speak. But St. Helens, Oregon, which is just uh oh Lord, just west of us. I
Okay.
had to do that in my head. I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
where?
North, east, south. Okay. Yep.
Right.
What was it they taught us in school? Never eat stale Wheaties. Did they
Oh,
ever
I
teach you
never.
that?
There's a whole lot of them. So never ever smoke weed.
Oh, okay.
Never eat sour worms. I mean, it's
I guess
so
you could come
many
up.
of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's funny. Yeah, so Washington, you got, is that your family is mostly from there? Most of your family?
Yeah. So most of mom's side of the family is Oregon, so like southwest Oregon, so
Yeah.
like Portland, those kind of places. Sisters over in Beaverton, and then my dad's side of the family is all like Vancouver, Washington, so they're pretty close,
Okay.
but I don't talk to them much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so they're all pretty much out this way. I don't know of any other family members that are, so it's Oregon and Washington that are pretty much where everybody is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up with Jeff, did he talk to you about airsoft at all, or was it later on that he did he talk to you
Oh,
about it? Okay.
oh yeah. So, oh God. Yeah, because we grew up doing like the stuff before airsoft. So like Nerf guns,
Oh
what,
yeah.
that, all that kind of stuff. And
Water
then eventually
blasters and
progress.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we had the really El Cheapo water guns, but not like the
Yeah.
gel blasters or anything,
Okay.
but those are pretty damn cool.
Uh-huh.
But so airsoft was kind of taking off out here when we first got in, so we got into some really crummy airsoft guns and that kind of stuff. And then uh, an airsoft company came to Oregon, so it was about an hour and a half drive one way to get to the shop, which was Airsoft Outlet Northwest.
Okay.
Great little hole in the wall kind of shop, but yeah, no, so, and that kind of just furthered the hobby further. Me and Jeff have way too many memories out here with airsoft and just life in general, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, did you get into airsoft? Did you get into playing? You and him?
Oh yeah, no. So me and him played on a team for a long time. So
Yeah.
originally we started with a little team called A and B, which was just my mom's property, really basic, nothing big. And then me and him joined First Recon Platoon, which slightly bigger team, and we played a lot more often. But if it wasn't we were playing with Recon, me and Jeff would go to like Op Res or something along those lines, where it'd be me and him going and camping and spending like a weekend playing airsoft. So it was every weekend, either I was over at his place or he was over at my place, and it was airsoft and Star Wars Battlefront, or just
Oh, dude.
yeah,
Battlefront. Yes.
right. So
That's great.
that was our weekends pretty much every weekend throughout like middle school ish to high school. And I mean, Airsoft was by far the biggest thing. Like we would play at least once a month back in our prime. And then after a while, it kind of went down a little bit less and less and less. And then Recon got new leadership in it. So we kind of just got phased out, so to speak. We still would play every once in a while, but that was like, okay, we were going to college, that kind of stuff.
Mm,
So didn't really have the time to actually play.
right.
Yeah, but we still kept like replicas. I mean, Jeff's gone through so many replicas now that it's hard to keep track of what he had and what he didn't have.
Right.
But I've kind of stuck with at least a few of the same things, which has been always fun.
Okay. Yeah. What was your main weapon you ran?
Oh god. So for the longest time I ran Bolties. So I've got, are
Okay.
we allowed to show them in the video or
Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah. No
So
rules.
fair enough. So
Oh,
BSR 10 and started out as a JG Bar 10, which normal stock, not the Maple Leaf stock. This is not the Norbert stock of all things.
yeah.
Receivers action. The only thing that is original to JG on this is the top rail.
Okay.
Everything else is up more or less upgraded. So
Yeah, dude, that's
it
cool looking.
it's been a sweet rifle. The only problem I have with it is it's not as accurate as I want it to be,
Yeah.
which that comes from doing like pellet rifles and all that kind of stuff. So
Mm.
there's a certain level of precision that I want, but I can never get from this, and it makes me sad. But yeah,
Yeah,
but then
the little plastic BB kind of goes and
right,
floats and the wind and little
right,
twigs. Like, dude, it's going everywhere compared to
yeah, no,
regular.
about 100 yards is about my longest range with that thing. But then I started getting into, so this guy is Redline N7 Milsim, which
Ooh,
GMP body, the GMP Skull Frog body, and then did a whole lot of work. This thing beats the snot out of my stomach, and it makes me so angry
yeah, that's
because
wild.
I mean, literally, it's basic. I mean, oh god, I forget the hop up brand, but just a rotary hop, maple leaf bucking,
Okay.
an omega nub, and I mean, this thing is laser accurate and ridiculously quiet. Like
Oh,
that
that's
was
awesome.
always the thing, is quiet guns for me. Like I didn't like AGs. I used a few,
Okay.
but went over to Bolties and made them as quiet as possible, to the point where like people could not hear me and or would be stepping on me because I'd be using ghillie suits. Yeah.
Okay.
Had that happen a few times.
Oh, I'll bet. Well,
Yeah.
I was looking at your like your Instagram and your the only thing I didn't find any of your airsoft stuff.
Yeah, no, so I'm not sure. Did you find my personal page or no?
Yeah, your personal well, no, your Sam's Mobile Sharpening one.
Yeah, so on the mobile sharpening, I don't have any of the airsoft stuff
Right,
because
right.
Facebook being Facebook.
Well, not
But
only
on
that,
my
but you don't want to mix them. Yeah, it's your business.
right, right. No, so on my personal page, I've got, and from years and years and years ago, like we did videos with our other buddy,
Okay.
just all that kind of stuff. So I've got a few things here and there. And then Jeff, I think he did a few YouTube videos a long time ago that I mean, he did it
Yeah,
with a contour camera. So not the greatest quality, but at the same
sure.
time, it was still a lot of great fun gameplay. I
Yeah,
mean,
a lot of people like that stuff now, man. The nostalgia kind of,
right.
vintage look and all that kind of stuff with videos.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that one
Uh-huh.
either.
Yeah, a lot of
But
people are getting into that kind of stuff now.
hmm,
The
that might
older
be interesting.
videos.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Like getting a few filters. I've been thinking of using my GoPro and going to a game. I haven't been played in over 2 years, but taking my GoPro, putting it on. I haven't used the red line outdoors. I've only used it indoors.
Okay.
But it's stupid fun. Like this thing is so damn quiet.
I know. And well, it looks really cool too. Is that camouflage tape that you put on
Yeah,
there?
so it's like a gauze almost,
Yeah,
but so it doesn't get sticky or anything like that. Just
right.
Sportsman's
It
Warehouse,
kind of
but
sticks to itself, basically.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But it works and then I'll just put like the camo netting over the rest of it because I like things to look clean, so trying to wrap the entire body, it starts getting uh kinked and all that kind of stuff, and just like no, can't do this. Yeah.
I'm the same way. If I'm wrapping something, it could be tape or whatever. Even when I send out some of these things to people, I've sent out patches or things in the past where we've done giveaways. Even when I'm taping the box with a tape gun, the tape it can't be wrinkled. When you
Yep.
go across the top and you go to like press it down or whatever,
Yep.
if it's a tiny wrinkle, I'll be like, all right, I'm not ripping it off. But if it's a big thick wrinkle, I can't stand it, bro. My
Right.
sons are like, why are you taking the tape off? Bro, it looks like shit. I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's one of the, I mean, that's part of the whole airsoft thing is just the second cool. It's okay. It needs to look good too.
Right. Absolutely, man. For real.
hmm
That's cool. So you've been doing the sharpening thing for a while.
About 3 years. So
Yeah.
started my business in 2021 and then have just kind of done it since then. So didn't really start up too heavily on like social media and that kind of stuff, kind of just word of mouth. But then I
Sure.
realized, okay, I need to leverage the social medias and all that kind of stuff just because one, makes too much sense. And two, like with doing YouTube, passing it on to the next generation because like my ultimate goal is being able to either pass this on to kids if I ever have kids or anything along those lines, or somebody else, like say my nephew or something along those lines, if they want to take it up or even learn how to start their own business because
Hmm.
it's so hard nowadays to even one start a business and two make it successful. So
Yeah.
being able to like pass that on to another just those fundamentals down to another generation so that they can be better than us,
Yep.
that's my ultimate goal with like YouTube is being able to be a good steward towards others.
Absolutely, man.
Mhm.
Well put too. That's I we have similar goals. 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
the sharpening thing. I worked with a guy that his name was Eric as well. And
Okay.
he he was big into making sure his knives were like razor sharp. I mean,
Oh yeah.
razor sharp. Now for
Yeah.
me, I was like, okay, I got a sharp knife. Like it's cool. I carry this I've had this thing. This is a Spyderco. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everything's worn off. It's so old. God, this thing's been through the I don't even know if it'll focus on this. Let's see. You see the little symbol there.
Oh yeah. Spider. Yeah, it's a spider
Uh-huh.
co. I'm gonna
And
figure out
so
what it
this
is.
is so can you see the back part of it? It's supposed to be serrated.
Serrated. Yeah. Oh,
It
it's
looks all
scalloped.
see.
Oh.
So I sharpened it so many times that
Yeah.
it's almost uh
Gotten rid of the
oh dude,
serrations.
there's hardly anything left. But
Right.
mine is like I use this for literally everything. I mean, this
Right.
thing is beefy. I've never tightened like had to tighten anything on the handle. And I've had this for
Spyderco's really
probably,
good about
dude, probably 10 years,
yeah.
12 years.
Spyderco's really good with their quality control.
It is.
Yeah.
And
No, and
this thing's solid, bro. I use this to dig like chunks of shit out of the dirt, like I use it as a spike, as a a
right.
puncture. I mean, I'm just beating the crap out of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, little Victorinox, but I mean, that's primarily because, okay, it's got tweezers in the toothpick,
Yeah.
but I've always got that little knife, and that's boxes and that. And then I always have a fixed blade on me too, so that, okay, if I need to do some more digging or that kind of stuff, okay, I have the fixed blade. And
Yeah.
fixed blade has ring retention on it too, so it's easy to deploy, easy to hold, easy to use, all that fun stuff.
Well, you're into knives, so and you know about sharpening stuff. So
You know
this
my passion.
I do, buddy. So you might
You've got a
like
K
some
bar.
history on this. I was in the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
so this was issued to me, well, given as a gift. They didn't. This isn't like a issue that you wear.
Right.
Uh, so this was more of a. This was
Sentimental
a
kind of
gift.
thing.
Yeah, it was a gift from when I got corporal. So
Oh
E4,
wow.
I got a
Yeah.
rank or whatever, and so I went through the gauntlet and I go through all this thing, and then they my gunnery sergeant from our platoon gave me this, and I went later on, years later, and had this
Oh,
inscription on it, laser cut or whatever,
yeah.
engraved.
Yeah.
So that is, it says comrades in Japanese. And so that same thing on there is there's a tattoo on my leg that I had.
Okay.
And I got all three of my sons, I got them fixed blades for Christmas. This is when they were teenagers, probably 10 years ago, maybe 8 years
Okay.
ago.
Yeah.
And so I got them a fixed blade. So one of them has a K bar that's a
Okay.
different style than this. It's like a
The
Tonto.
polymer handle. Oh, the
Uh-huh.
top.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. 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 And one is a cold steel, and I don't know, maybe two of them are K-Bar brand. But anyway, so I
Okay.
got them some fixed blades that were about this size for Christmas.
Yeah.
And we all went and got this engraving on all four of our knives. So each
Oh,
of our
very cool.
knives have that comrades lasered
Yeah.
on there from, that mean, or in Japanese or whatever. So,
Oh,
but
very cool.
yeah, it's cool. So this is a sentimental thing for sure. And now they
Right.
have something that they could pass on, their own fixed blade that
Yeah.
that they keep very sharp. But this one, honestly, this is Kevlar. No, this isn't Kevlar. Sorry about that. The ones that were Kevlar were the bayonets that we had in the military.
Right.
And so when we would go check out our weapons to go shoot or whatever, on the range, we'd have to check out our K-bar as well, because apparently, or I mean the bayonet,
Mhm.
apparently Kevlar dulls while it's just sitting there. Now I don't know anything about that, but yeah, somebody told me that that's why we had to get them out and sharpen them every time, and they would be dull, and we didn't really use them to cut,
Yeah.
a whole lot. We're
Well,
just
it's, weirdly enough, it's also that kind of edge that you put on steel too, because a lot of the times everybody's after a super fine polish, like
mm-hmm,
you can see lettering and that kind of stuff. It's not as sharp actually as what you think it is, because sometimes you're actually, instead of fully it being apex, you're starting to roll the very tip of it. So
mm,
still crazy sharp just because it's thin, but when you start more or less rolling it over, it
yeah.
starts doling it out almost instantly. And then you go and pick it up a few weeks later and it's like, wait a second, what is this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did this thing get dull? I didn't even use it. What happened?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, for the longest time, I had the chasing of, okay, the highest like you could read off of the edges that I would do,
Whoa.
but realize it's not worth it, because I mean,
Mm.
you're not doing yourself any favors. It's actually, most steels won't even benefit from going that fine of a polish. So
Okay.
most steels will benefit more from a slightly toothy edge, just from the fact of it's structured, but it's not, it's very stable, which
Mm.
it's weird to like getting in and like diving down the rabbit hole on that. It's wild, like learning more and more about sharpening. It's absolutely
So
wild.
I'm looking at your Instagram. You've got, I mean, you sharpen everything, like um all kind of different scissors, like the first responder.
Scissors, salon scissors,
Yeah,
kukris,
jeez.
K bars. I did a katana. Uh,
Whoa.
oh god, a lot of garden and shovels of all things. I did not realize sharpening shovels was a thing. I just used shovels.
Being a guy that loves to dig with
Yeah.
shovels, I really do. I really enjoy it. Honestly,
Mm.
it's weird, but I sharpen my shovels.
Yeah. No, I
Now
didn't. So
I don't do a whole lot of time into it. I just take a metal file, a big
yeah.
fat one,
Yep.
and just go over it real quick,
Yeah.
and then
Pretty
yeah, I'm
much all
good.
it needs, in all honesty.
Hmm.
Yeah. But no, that's surprisingly been one of my more common things, is getting people that just want to shovel sharpen, which at first when I got that question, I'm like, wait, what? You want what? Because I mean, growing up out here, it was just okay. You're hitting rocks 24. Like my mom's place is on a bunch of lava rock, so
Mm.
you dig down and you're just digging. It's
Oh my
yeah, you're
gosh,
yeah, you would dole out any edge that you create. So it
for
was just okay,
sure.
dig and dig, so to speak. Yeah,
So
but
doing this, all these different tools and everything, you probably deal with a lot of different types of materials, right?
uh huh.
Metals and whatever. Like what? So if somebody's new to sharpening what they have, excuse me, what would be some advice you have, like on steak knives, on like kitchen knives, like gardening
So
tools? They're all different.
a few good things. One is the angle that you're holding. So with kitchen knives, I like 17 to 18 because it's typically a little bit more on the acute side for Western cutlery,
Mm,
but on the obtuse side for like Japanese cutlery. But 17, 18, and then like using it and okay, seeing do you chip the blades, do you not chip the blades? If you don't chip the blades, okay, and decrease it by maybe a degree or two or something along those lines. A lot of those guided sharpeners have like the angle adjustments and that kind of stuff.
mm.
And then progression wise, starting with a lower grit instead of like because some people like, oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna polish this out. Sometimes you don't go low enough to the point where
Mm.
you're not
You're
actually
not taking off enough material.
right, and it's not actually re-apexing or anything along those lines because that's literally the biggest thing is making sure the edge is fully apexed. Once you have that,
Then you can
pretty
polish
so
it.
exactly. So my progression with sharpening right now, and it's pretty much the same way with everything. Start it with the 120, go to 600, and then strop with like an 8,000 grit and do like one or two passes per side.
Wow.
But with some different tools, so like scissors, I'll only do 120 and then 220
Hmm.
because they like more of a toothy edge. Because when you got that shearing motion,
Yeah,
you're
they're coming
also
across
allowed,
each other.
and they're also adding a little bit more toothiness to it. So instead of it pushing the material out being
It's
smooth,
grabbing it.
exactly.
Huh.
So it's really fun finding out okay what tools benefit from a like higher polish edge, so to speak. It's more, it's like cat claw sharp, where it's like sticky, and like if you run it a blade over your finger, you'll feel it lightly drag when it's sharp.
Mm.
So it's biting into your fingernail, but you can
Hmm.
feel it ever so slightly chattering, and that is insanely sharp.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's been my thing. Like Work Sharp makes a lot of great. I wouldn't recommend their like powered sharpeners. I mean, unless you really hobbyist, but their bench stones are really solid. I mean, that's what I have as my backup to my 1x30. I just have their diamond stones that
Okay.
I have that as a backup for okay if I'm without power or my 1x30 goes down. Makes it really simple.
So
I
what's a
mean,
1x30?
1x30. So sorry. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah,
one by
I honestly don't
30.
know. I don't know. I know how to sharpen like from a stone. I have a, whetstone
Right.
and or a sharpening stone. I don't even know if it's called a whetstone. It's got a
Yes.
abrasive side and then a smoother
Yes.
side, but the
Yes.
smoother side is still pretty rough. It's a
Right.
basic, looks like a chunk of gray charcoal or something,
Right.
and that's what I've used for most of my knives forever. Now I do have one of those electric ones where you put like a belt on it and it's got
Yeah.
like a little guide. I use that for my kitchen knives. It works. It works good.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's
So
not
more than
awesome,
yeah.
but
I mean, yeah. No. I mean, it's a progression too because for the longest time I would use like the guided sharpeners, like from like Edge Pro Apex or something along those lines. Great systems. They take forever. So the one by
mm,
30 is not really the poor man's approach, but it's the quick way of doing it. So it's a 1x30 belt sander.
okay.
So you can go to Harbor Freight, you can go online, pick them up for really cheap, and then it just takes 1x30 sanding belts. And then online you can find a bunch of different abrasives, all that kind of stuff, and all different kinds of materials too. And it make it really diving down a rabbit hole as far as like what materials are used for the sharpening abrasives, all that kind. It's
Really?
hours and hours of research. Like it,
Holy cow.
yeah, but
And trial
tons
and
of
error, I'm sure.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, having the fundamentals of doing it by stone, going to a 1x30, like a powered sharpener, okay, you've got the fundamentals down. It's really simple from there. But like people starting out, if you're using like the powered sharpeners and that kind of stuff, you have to be really careful because I've watched too many people like round out a tip just because,
Mm.
okay, they pull it and round out the tip. It's,
I think that's what I'm doing to my steak or my kitchen knives.
mm,
Like, there's no point on them anymore. They're totally rounded off, bro.
yeah. Yeah.
I
So
ruin them
what you
because on
can
that
do on,
that
yeah.
wire or that electric one I have, and
Yeah.
it's a spinning belt, you know,
Right.
as
Right.
I'm going, I kind of go like that, you know, I
Yeah.
drag it, and it's like now they're not even there's the point sucks.
Yeah. So what you can do to restore that ever so slightly is flip the blade over and run the backside of the tip on that sanding belt. So it
Mm,
more or less reestablishes the point. I would have paper, but yeah, so you can reestablish that point a little bit.
okay.
So I religiously have to do that for people because, okay, they've rounded out the tips and it's like, okay, we want to have a sharp functional tip.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a problem with a lot of the like work sharp makes a few, but they're really like they're flexible. But with mine, I have a flat platen underneath the belt,
Mm,
so I can't roll like the abrasive will not roll around the
oh,
edge. So,
okay.
but I do a lot of it's not really freehand, but it is freehand, so to speak, because I've got an angle rest that I use as a reference, and then I go forward and
I
actually
noticed that
do
on
the
your one of
progression.
your videos. I don't know if it was on an
Mhm.
Instagram reel or that I was watching or one of your YouTube shorts, but I saw you had the guide and you
Mhm.
kind of match it up and then you
Yeah.
go forward and do it freehand. And I was
Yep.
like, oh, that takes some practice. Okay. Because I would
Well,
have to use a guide
yeah.
like the whole way.
What? No, the part of the problem with the guide, though, so I would do that, and I also wouldn't do that because learning also from like the work sharp, uh, powered sharpeners and that kind of stuff was it'll take the coating off of like a lot of the blades, like those the ceramic coatings and that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
right.
If you run it through or run it on that rest, it'll
Uh-huh.
scratch up that finish quicker than you can blink. So
Okay.
that was something I learned, and I'm like, oh, okay, because on my personal blades. But
Yeah.
doing that freehand, one, I can do all kinds of weird, nutty blades, as well as I'm not hurting the finish. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest thing for me is making sure that one, it looks good, and two, it cuts well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that we were talking about rounding the tips off. You can
Oh yeah,
see how rounded that is. That used to be
yeah.
pretty sharp,
I,
like
you can
a
still
point.
make it extreme. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you could very easily just touch like if you were to flip that upside down and lightly touch that on like
So
a
like this for real?
yeah, yeah. I
Really?
mean, you could even just do it if you wanted something foolproof. Do it on a stone
Yeah.
because then you can just run it on the stone backwards, and it'll slowly drop that to be a tip.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that one's pretty rounded. Like I said, it's. I mean, I was when I was anytime I'm cutting um, bags of quickcrete stuff like that, this thing comes out and I'm
Yep.
stabbing and cutting. Okay, so
Yeah. No, that's like my buddy. He did a lot of landscaping, so like silt fence and that kind of stuff.
mm.
Every time he comes over, I'm like, "Hey, give it."
I know it's
Because
dull. Let's
I
go.
mean, yeah, no, I mean, I last time I did it, I could put my finger full force down and run it along the blade, and nothing would happen. It
Get
was
out.
that uh,
Oh my
sw-
God.
honest. Well, he's also so back in high school, and I mean, this is already TMI, but I had gotten so like this Lansky sharpener or something like that. So put a crazy cool edge on it, and my buddy was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's probably not that sharp." So I had a can of soda in front of me, and it was empty. I'm like,
Okay.
"Zip!" I just unzipped the pop can. His jaw dropped.
Oh, I would too.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's
that's one of his.
impressive.
Well, I mean, it's one of his favorite stories, and my edges have just gotten better since then.
Oh my God, dude. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, I want to pull up some of your videos if you don't mind.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So either on, yeah, in fact, actually, I'm just
I
going to
think
pull up your
Facebook would
website.
probably have the most as far like, Instagram. I don't really
Facebook?
post to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Facebook or YouTube would be the two biggest ones as far as like
I've got your
reels.
YouTube channel up as well.
Yeah,
But the short video you have playing on your home screen of your website,
yeah.
I love that. It's you're showing how this knife
The
cuts
one
through
cutting
this
the piece of paper.
bro. And see this is okay, so I'm going to share the screen real quick because
I can actually partially see through the picture in the background.
oh, I'll bet. Yeah. The glass off the
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So like this video here, see you use the guide and then
Yep.
you go freehand.
Yep.
Now, do you always
Yep.
wear a mask like that, a respirator
Yes.
to? Okay,
Because there's so much dust that can come up when
yeah.
you're sharpening. So for me, I mean, I've had too many injuries to the point where it's like, okay, I plan on doing this the rest of my life.
Oh, you're doing it
What?
constantly. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. So,
you don't
okay,
want to
what
breathe
can
in
I
that
do to be
metal
safe?
dust.
Right. I mean, I'm the result. Well, I had to learn how to walk again, bad back injury, all that kind of stuff.
What?
Yeah, no. So I was going towards being an electrician and messed up my back really bad. So
Mm-hmm.
moving a giant wire cut, like
Okay.
1,200 feet of like $half size copper,
Oh
and they had
God.
us do it manually on concrete.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
That
me and
shit
one
is
of
heavy, bro.
So me and one other dude are going to rotate a wire yo-yo, and I go and pull, and this guy's like two or three of me. I'm a small dude, in all honesty. I'm 5'8" and 160 pounds when I was doing that. But
Yeah.
Inky did like I am was the smallest person on the job site
Oh
by
my
far.
gosh.
So go and do that, and this is active construction site. It's louder than shit,
Right.
and I go and pull, and all of a sudden my entire back pop 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 pop.
Oh God.
So the guy across on the yo-yo heard that and he went, "What was that? My back. You good?" Yeah. Adrenaline had kicked so much. I
Oh
finished
yeah.
that day and didn't realize it. So went out to dinner with my mom the next day and got up to leave the restaurant and collapsed because I couldn't feel my legs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So chiropractor for I don't remember how that was. Not fun. But
Yeah. And then you
so
had
some
so do you got you did it take a while to get like normal blood flow and feeling and all that kind
oh
of
I
stuff in your
yeah.
legs?
So I still have nerve damage.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah, and that's
sucks.
also part of the reason why, like, one of the thing, like me being through those things, it allows me to be a good steward towards other people. So, like, if I hear of one of my friends or an acquaintance that has gone through an injury, because I didn't know anything about like workman's comp or anything along those
Sure.
lines. So I got thrown under the bus because the safety manager for the company was trying to get me off light duty as quick as possible,
Yeah, absolutely.
which I mean, good
They
for
want to
them.
get you through the process so you can't come back and say whatever.
hmm
Yep.
Which is what happened because like that was like so like 7 years ago ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I every once in a while still have like I can't go stack wood all that often, or else I am just gone for the next few days. Like it
Mm,
have to be laying prone, nothing. Like
wow.
it sucks. It sucks flat
That
out.
does, dude. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
feel for you, man. Well, that's how this channel started. Was me.
Mm.
I was paralyzed right around the same time you had your injury,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, I was. It was an illness, like no physical work that injured me or nothing, but it was out of the blue illness and called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and totally healthy and fine. It's an autoimmune
Yeah.
disorder. And then within a week or so after my first symptoms, just laying in bed staring at the ceiling, I couldn't even talk. So
Yeah.
coming out of that, when I was recovering, I started this YouTube channel because two of my boys were playing airsoft with their friend, and then it turned into a podcast. So now here
Well,
we
very
are.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
man.
super cool origin story.
So I definitely understand your injury, like having to not feeling your legs or your feet and having to learn how to walk again and all that kind of stuff. You don't really expect that, when you're healthy.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, yeah, it's something I don't wish on anybody. And I mean,
for
I'm
sure.
not glad that I went through it, but glad that I went through it just because, okay,
Same here.
everything in life happens for a reason.
Yep.
And that reason may not be apparent right now,
Yep.
but 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, it may be a time where, okay, hey, been through that and these are things you need to do.
I'm so different now as a person
Mm-hmm.
because of going through that. I would,
Right.
I would not change it. If and somebody asked me, would you go back and change? Like if you could, would you not have that happen? And I
No.
said, no, I'd go ahead and be paralyzed again because
Right.
I was really arrogant. I was really, I had a lot of anger issues as well that going through this whole process really helped. Dude, I'm a completely different person. So I
Gotcha.
still have
Okay.
my personality. I still have, I with my kids know who I am. I'm not,
Right.
like they don't recognize me. I mean, they recognize me and stuff, but it's yeah, internally, man, I'm yeah, way different. I'm better,
Right. Well,
and I like
yeah.
it.
Well, that's the cool part about life is just the fact of we go through so many things that it helps shape us. Like part of me wishes, okay, I had started my business like right out of high school because it'd
Right.
be a lot easier now. But at the same time, would I have the skills? Would I have the leadership? Would I have
Nope.
any of that kind? I wouldn't have any of that stuff,
No.
which is part
You
of the
had
reason
to
why I'm
get
able to do
here the way you got here. You had to.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, when we play that game, it's fun to think about like, oh,
Right.
like if we could have done things different or something would have happened different here and there, but we have to do that journey the way we went for us personally because everyone's different. We
Exactly.
wouldn't, we wouldn't be who we are today. You wouldn't have what you have today with this business, knowing what you know, doing the same thing you're doing now. You wouldn't have it. It would be different.
Right. Exactly. And I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, regardless, even if I did have a business from back then, okay, it would be completely different
Yeah,
from, okay, what I do today, just because, okay, I'm a different person from what I was in high
100%.
school, right out of high school. But yeah, so it's fun. I mean, it's fun to think about, okay, how much, like, if you had done that, like, with your personality now, how much
Hmm.
further you'd be along just for the fact of, like, your progression.
Right.
But you don't think about the whole thing of, oh, well, I wouldn't have this skill, this skill, this skill, this skill, which have helped me immensely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
worked through too many jobs to the point where now, like, a lot of skills translated over to like being a business owner and that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
it's been, and then some jobs that are just really stupid and medial, but is what it is.
Absolutely. We need those too, okay?
Right, right. Good point.
So you got so this is a great video that you have playing on your homepage. I love how you have it. And you got the one picture of or a video of you when you start out sharpening or cutting through this paper
Yeah.
very easily and smoothly, and then it's not. And you're
Yep.
showing how dull it is, and now you're sharpening it, and then you're really quick too. Like it's simple, quick, and easy,
It
but that doesn't, that
I'm
comes
not the
with
fastest by
experience.
any means, but about 2 minutes a knife.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I mean, it great hourly rate, which is kind of because I charge by the knife instead of by an hourly rate.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if charged by an hourly rate, it'd be nuts. But charging just okay, hey, $8 a knife, people are more than willing to pay that, and it just, I mean, I can knock them out real quick, and it's
Hmm.
really nice.
Yeah, that's great, man. So you got a ton of these are your shorts on
Yeah,
your
I've been starting to do more of the shorts just for the fact of they're easier to process as well as like
they
doing
really
the full
are
feature length videos are a lot more time consuming.
way more work, bro. Way more
Yeah,
work. Yep. Yeah, shorts are great, man.
right. Well, I mean,
So
they
this
also
looks
get
like a
some pretty
wide,
good
is this a
kukri.
really wide blade? Like what
I've
is this
got the
thing?
blade. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a kukri.
Yep. And that's the other nice part about like that flexible abrasive is the fact that you can get right into those contours and that
That
kind of stuff because
contoured
trying to do
edge.
that stone is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare.
Oh, I don't know how. Yeah.
Yeah. But the one but the flexible abrasive, it being flexible. So it can kind of self-adjust to as long as you're holding the angle correctly, it's
Right.
gonna self-adjust and be what it needs to.
See, okay. The way, this is what I always thought with sharpening knives. I always thought you had to, when I would do it on a stone, I was push the sharpened end of the blade towards the stone. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would turn
So
it over and do the same thing.
right.
So, but it
So
looks like
that's
here you,
so I do edge trailing, but
oh,
the inverse of that is edge leading. where the belt is coming towards the
Yeah.
belt is coming towards the edge. I
Hmm.
do edge trailing because one, I don't want to be the person that gets impaled by a knife, because if the belt's coming
Oh,
towards me, the knife's coming towards me if that thing wants to grab and
if it
throw.
catches. Oh,
Uh huh. So
okay.
the edge trailing, it still makes it that very straight,
Really?
toothy pattern. But the Worksharp actually has a really good video on edge leading versus edge trailing and all that kind of stuff for
Oh, okay.
like what cuts better in what situations and all that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
like the edge leading versus edge trailing on a stone, it's not terribly different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, the reason I like doing the edge trailing is you'll watch the burr on it. So the abrasive's going away from it. You'll watch the wire edge just ever so slightly come up on the very tip of it. And that's when you know you've fully apexed and you can
Hmm.
go on to the next belt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it makes it really foolproof, so to speak.
Okay.
And I'm a huge believer in the KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. I know, right? That applies to so many things in life that sometimes, people need to follow that more.
Right. Exactly. I
So
mean,
now, what do you have? The diamond spray. Is that like
so that's a diamond emulsion which goes on to like leather belts and that kind of stuff. So it's the stropping process,
mm,
but I found it the diamond, I need to tweak it ever so slightly, but it does work really well as far as getting that light like chatter on your fingernail,
okay.
but not quite like hair popping on your arm.
Hmm.
Because if you use so the other one that I like a little bit better is Tormek paste, which is it's a aluminum oxide abrasive, and you just rub it on the leather, and then the leather but that take your hair off your arm any day of the week, and it's effortless glide. But
Really?
diamonds cut a lot more aggressively than aluminum oxide, which, like I said, you go down a rabbit hole when you start looking up different abrasives, different
Yeah.
everything. It's what, like, I love diamonds just for the fact of they really don't wear out, they're consistent, and they cut really, really fast. But if you're trying to get a finer edge on things, diamonds really are not your best friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
But,
how about ceramic? Because when I worked some of these factories I worked in, they're
yep.
like plastic, okay?
Yeah.
So that we plastic extrusion, that kind of thing. And you're
Okay.
running like one of the places I worked, we would run giant rolls of plastic film. It's real thin. It comes out of a so it ends up winding up on this giant roll, okay, on a big
Okay.
roller. And it
Yeah.
might be like a few mil, like stuff you put like vapor barrier or um, trash bags. It might be sent out to be used for trash bags or something like that. So
Okay.
as it's coming down, when it goes to the rollers, the way
Hmm.
it works, it comes out of extrusion. It's an extruder, and then the die is round, and it comes up, and the die is vertical. And depending
Okay.
on how big your roll is going to be, how wide it
Yeah.
is how big we blow up this bubble. So what it does, it comes out of the round die. Okay, the plastic oozes out of the round die. Makes this big circle. You pull
Okay.
it up as it's hot. You pull up, you cinch it at the top, just like you make a Ziploc bag. You just close it off, and
Okay.
then it's still coming out of, and you pull it, and what you do is you tie it onto a rope and pull it up. Well, it goes up straight up 70 feet. Okay, you have an
Damn.
air, yeah, it has an air pipe in the center of the die, and
Okay.
you adjust the airflow in there to blow this plastic bubble up just like a giant bubble. And
Yeah.
so it goes straight up, and then it goes through a nip roller that squeezes it together. So when it comes down, it's cooled off, but it's two sheets of plastic together because it's been a big circle. So
Okay.
when it comes down, when it goes on the rolls, before it goes on to the rollers, it's
Mm.
got to be cut. The edges have to be cut off so it can be separated.
Right.
Well, we use ceramic knives for these so that they last longer, but they're more expensive.
Right.
But the ceramic is, I guess, harder than the steel ones or something. Like, how does that?
Significantly harder.
Okay.
So with ceramic knives, you actually have to use like different. So diamond would actually work really good as far as an abrasive for ceramic knives, but
Okay.
that you bring that up. So that's actually one of the belt abrasives that you can get. So that's what I use for like the 120 grit
Mm.
is a ceramic belt.
Hmm.
So it works wonderfully.
Really?
But in compare, so I used to use like a zirconia blend, which I mean, Diablo is a really popular brand, and that was the 1x30s I was using. But the zirconia blend do better with a high pressure situation, so good for like wood and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But me, I'm using little to no pressure, so the ceramics work a lot better in that little to no pressure, and the cutting ability of those ceramics is nuts.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they're sharp, buddy.
they really are. And I mean, it's interesting trying to sharpen them. I've done a few. Weirdly enough, I don't get too many of them, but every once in a while, okay, it's sharpen a ceramic. I mean, part of the reason why you never sharpen them is because, okay, they're sharp. They just stay sharp
They
because
stay sharp.
ceramic beings, yeah. I mean, unless you drop it or something along those lines,
Exactly. It's brittle.
more, exactly. It's sharp, but brittle.
Hmm. And that's what
Yeah.
would happen. Like we would never have to take those off and sharpen them or try to mess with them. They would just break when the ceramic knives, whatever they'd have on the sides, cutting that plastic after however many days that they've been on there, and this thing running 24/7, cutting or whatever. It won't really dull. It'll just break.
Right.
you
Yeah, no,
know.
they just chip. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. So there's a competitor, well, not really a competitor, but a another knife sharpening business out here that it very much so is that way where okay, he takes the really really hard steels and goes super acute. So this is where like the different angles can play a huge factor.
Mm.
So like with the ceramic, they probably had a fairly obtuse angle just for the fact of okay, if it chips and breaks, you just replace it. But what this guy does is he super thins out knives. So maybe like I hold, like I said, like 17, 18 degrees, and that's kind of my sweet spot. He'll
Hmm.
hold maybe 5 degrees.
Whoa.
So super thinned out knives. I've gotten a lot of people that have been prior clients of his
Yeah.
that come to me because one, they actually want a knife sharpened that'll last a while because I mean, it's crazy sharp for 2 or 3 cuts, but then after that, either the blade chips or the blade rolls and dulls.
Yeah.
So,
There's not enough
yeah,
enough stock there to kind of hold that edge for a while.
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, if you go to the Facebook page, I'm pretty sure I've got a picture of that Benchmade, one of the first.
Is it
Let's
on your
see.
posts or
I
pictures?
would, yeah, look under the pictures. That's a video. It'll be a while back.
Oh, okay. Man, you've sharpened a
Uh,
lot of cool things. Like, see
there,
these
right?
things like this? What
Yeah,
is
an
that? Like
ulu.
a meat
So
cutter thing? I had one of
that's called
those.
an ulu.
Ulu, that's it.
Yeah, but
Like
no, the
these kind
one
of,
actually the right next to frog, the right of the frog loop is the Benchmade, the butterfly. You can see that knife, and that's
mm,
one that he had priorly done. So,
oh my gosh, I can see the how
uh-huh.
far it went up, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
consistent, so it's not from the factory like that.
Yeah, and this guy super well renowned. Everybody loves him. But it irritates me just for
So
the
it's
fact of
so what it is, I guess kind of what he's doing it or going for is it's impressive on the when you show somebody how sharp it is, but it's not the best for the knife.
exact. Yeah, because there's sharp and then there's functional sharp. This is
Exactly.
just not necessarily even bragging right sharp. This is just silly sharp. Yeah, like there is no functional. Like they dole out within a week.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
you can put any kind of pressure on anything with using this knife. The blade's so thin at the edge there, it's gonna just roll over or chip, like you said.
yeah, and that's what I'm getting a lot of chefs that are coming to me that would go to
Mm.
him prior, and I mean I steal them every time.
I mean, yeah, as somebody, if somebody's in a profession where they need a sharp knife, it doesn't have to be scalpel sharp, but it needs to be pretty sharp,
Oh,
Like
it's significantly
for
sharper than scalpels. Every knife I sharpen.
really?
Yeah, like I I don't like factory sharpened knives and stuff like that anymore. Like ever since like actually doing more and more and researching more and more, like pulling X-Acto knife blades, all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. I don't want to touch them because they're just
they're
yeah,
garbage.
right. Exactly. I'd much rather
Really?
pull out my little Swiss Army knife and cut like a thorn out of my skin or something along those lines because I know one, it's going to go in. Two, how much pressure I need to put and
Yeah.
what way I need to apply it and all that stuff.
Oh, that's wild.
But
You know, I had an X-Acto knife, or I have one. And
mhm,
when we first got it, I was doing some intricate cuts on actually on airsoft guns, the wiring when I was having to cut some of
yeah,
the like heat shrink off. Okay, and I
yeah.
was trying to be real careful. And I'm like, dude, I thought these things were supposed to be like super, great at this, especially at the tips. Like that's what you get an X-Acto
Uh-huh.
knife for. And it's sitting here like gouging it. It's pulling the rubber instead of cutting through it. I'm like, what's going on with this thing?
Exactly. And that's where like I won't touch X-Acto blades for the one like they're supposed to be like not really tuggy sharp, but to the point where okay, you drag it across material, it should start slicing in and like feel like it's cutting, as
Yeah,
opposed to you have to put more pressure and use like a sliding motion, so to
right.
speak. Which we're not feather sticking. What are we doing? Yeah. So having a lightly toothy edge can really help with the benefit of actually like getting into wire harnessing or anything along those lines.
Right.
But yeah, no, that so chipper blades, which I've stopped
Oh,
doing
okay.
those
I wonder
ones
what
just
that
for the
was.
yeah. So that's about 8 inches long,
Mm,
but I did those for a hot minute. Stopped doing that because I had a lot of people advising not to because it's like lawnmower blades where you have to balance them, and if they're not perfectly balanced, which they always are when I did them, but
hmm.
you now have a 20-pound missile coming off that machine.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So that
Oh,
and that's
Lord.
the because those are spinning however fast like a lawnmower spins. So
Right, right.
if one of those comes off the machine because it's improperly
It's not
balanced,
balanced. Yeah, right.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
because you take
stopped.
too much off of one end or the corner
Mm-hmm,
or you gouge it.
exactly.
Okay.
Well, not to mention they're pairs too.
Yeah,
So you have to
absolutely.
balance. You have to
Right, like
match
this.
one to the. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're
right.
married pairs.
Oh my
But
gosh. And you can see
yeah,
how worn it is. Like, look at this edge right here.
right.
Like it's all see, it's not
Yeah, no, it's no
flush.
longer straight anymore.
It's
Yeah,
not
exactly. I
straight.
mean, right. And that was the really hard part about them was one, they took a long ass time, and
Oh
two,
Lord.
it's not worth the
I don't know
risk.
how you could get it. Like this one seems like it's trash, bro. Like you're gonna have to get a new one. Because look how
Right,
much is missing off of this one edge.
exactly. No, and that's the scary part too, is the fact that the how expensive those blades are because each
Yeah.
one of those is like $100 a pop.
Woo, buddy. No, thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, is what it is, but yeah, no, I did those for a hot minute, joined a sharpeners group on Facebook, and then like saw other people posting about it, and they're like, yeah, no, it's honestly not worth it.
Uh-uh.
I've only done those like 6 blades, and that's been about
Hmm.
it. So it's not one, not enough clientele, and two, not worth the risk.
Absolutely. So I'm big into I see this tree right here. I'm guessing this is like
Chainsaws.
chainsaws. Okay.
Yeah, no, I just done a chainsaw sharpening, so you can see the lines to the left of the basically under the tree, the
Yeah.
lines of where I'd done some like starter cuts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that was just me messing around with a new uh, chainsaw sharpener. So I've gone through a few chainsaw sharpeners just for the fact of some are greater than others.
Yeah, have you seen the one that I see videos on all the time where it's like a plastic contraption you stick on the end of your chainsaw with you
Yep,
keep the chain on it and
yep,
then you hook it on somehow whatever and then you run your blade, you run your chain and you push down on this thing like you push the chain into it
right.
or the bar into it. Is that are those things effective? I've never tried one.
They work. so to
Yeah.
speak. I mean, they're not, you're not going to get the best cutting edge off of it. I mean, it'll be usable, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not okay anything like factory edge or better because uh, the one that I have now is by a company called Gronberg,
Mm.
but it's basically Dremel meets precision. So it's got a
Mm.
thing that sits right behind the cutter and keeps it so that one, every tooth is the same length, and then the polish on it is significantly better. So the cutting ability is better than factory.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's I used the Harbor Freight one for a hot minute. They're hot steaming piles of garbage. I mean, they're not
Well,
precise because it
thank you
has
for not mincing words, okay? Because when you're giving a review on something for real, man, you need to know.
right. Well, I mean, the problem with the Harbor Freight one was so it still has the same thing like the Gronberg, but it was a plastic armature, so it
Mm.
would allow that tooth to move a little bit. Which,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if you're trying to take even amounts off of each tooth so it doesn't walk
Yeah.
one way or the other way, you're not getting that
Mm-hmm.
at all.
I'm just I'm looking at all these different types of things you've sharpened. And now
Yeah.
I'm a big into cutting, like I use an axe, I use a hatchet, I use a mattock, and I those are my favorite tools. So
Right.
like I'm chopping on a stump right now that's been out here. I've been chopping on it for like 2 years because I don't have. I'm just doing it. I'll do it for a month and then I'll
Okay.
forget about it for a month or whatever. But
Right.
I'm I don't want it dug out of the ground. I mean it's I'm eventually going to get rid of it. But
Right.
I started out the tree stump was like 3 feet high, sticking out
Okay.
of the ground.
Okay. Yeah.
Like where the tree was cut down, and then
Right.
I've had people come by, like, oh, I have a stump grinding thing. I'm like, no, man, this is my therapy.
Mm-mm.
So I've been using it as because
Right.
my coming out of this illness, whatever, my grip, my hand strength is really, is lacking. Okay, it's not 100%.
Yeah.
So swinging an axe or that heavy ass mattock
Mm.
is, it forces me to grip and grip and grip, especially when I start sweating.
Oh.
And so it's been
Okay.
great therapy for me. So I use that, but I sharpen those every once in a while.
Mm.
And
Those are one that
yeah,
greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate a nice like polish edge.
really,
Yes.
okay,
Those are one that I will take a little bit finer just for the fact of it's not so much a cutting action, it's a splitting action.
uh-huh,
And when you're doing like a splitting action, you want it to be sharp and not toothy.
mm,
Yeah.
makes
And then
sense.
another fun one, if you're wanting something like if you're noticing your axe is sticking a lot more, spray it down with WD-40, the axe.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, this thing sticks all day, bro.
Try spraying it with WD-40.
Oh, that's a pro
Yeah,
tip, people. Listen,
either that or like CLP or
yeah,
something along
I
the
have
just some
both.
sort of lubrication. I mean, it makes a huge difference.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
that tomorrow. I chop on it every day. So
There you go.
right now I'm chopping on it every day. So
Yeah.
uh yeah, and I get into a good rhythm because I'm trying to get a workout, right? And I'm
Right.
using it as a workout and I'm trying to make some progress on it as well. So,
Right.
two birds, one stone thing. But as I'm going, man, it's great. And I have a good rhythm down because I chop and then I
Yeah.
swing it up and I grab it, I swing it up and I chop again. And then I get stuck and then I go
Yeah.
to pull it and I'm like, oh, I almost fall over. And then I got to, wiggle it because I don't want to break the handle. So
Right.
it's just, yeah. Okay. It sticks a
Yeah. No.
lot.
So, yeah. No. So definitely like beeswax is another good one, but yeah. No. Just
Ah,
spray it down with some sort of lubrication. It'll help it. So like, okay, you could just pull it out
oh, I'm
super
going to do that
easy.
tomorrow, bro. For real. Serious. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That would if you scroll up just a hair bit, so on the right hand side, about mid page is that cleaver. So that was the first time I had ever, so that was sharpened not only on the bottom, the actual edge, but as well as the front.
I was just noticing that. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So you
And
can
that
like
was from,
chop down with it.
yeah, and that's from like the 1860s or something along. Yeah, no,
Really?
Yeah, no, super, super cool. I haven't gotten another blade like that, but at the same time, it's for like scraping uh the cutting boards and that kind of stuff.
Ah, okay.
So absolutely brilliant idea considering all. But get a lot of really cool blades.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
So
Like,
you get so you're mobile sharpening. So you're going to these companies, you get, or these people's places or whatever,
yep,
and sharpening on site.
yep. You know, I've
Hmm.
got a little 1,000-watt generator, and then I do all the sharpening on the tailgate of my truck.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, you can see me sitting in the back of the truck right
Yeah, right
there.
here.
Yeah, which I used to do that, but leaning over that far is not like wasn't beneficial, and that was like, yeah, no, it would wreak havoc on my back. Like
I would say
I would
that's got
start
to hurt
going
your
numb.
back after like 20
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, no. So now I drop the tailgate, just set the sharpener on the tailgate, and stand right there.
Yeah.
Works. I get no fatigue. It is
Oh,
so
good.
nice. Yeah,
So what is this slingshot looking thing? Is that
that was
legit
just
a slingshot?
that was legit a slingshot. So when I
Oh,
first started doing it, I wanted to do like just a few things that I was kind of into. So slingshots are one of the things that I do, and that's because like my thumb, the fact that that chop saw getting me, I
yep.
don't have feeling on the outside of my thumb.
Mm,
So it's kind of a like how you're saying the exercise to get the muscle memory, so to speak.
yeah.
But that's what slingshots are for me because I have to grip the pouch with my thumb
Mm,
and then draw and pull. So it's a strengthening thing for and has
yeah.
made a huge difference as far as my thumb goes.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I really like slingshots.
Okay. I mean, that's cool,
uh,
man.
I mean,
Slingshots and sharpening stuff.
yeah, I mean, in all honesty, so they have rubber rounds. I've been half tempted to ask some airsoft sites if they'd let me use a slingshot with rubber rounds.
Yeah, I wonder. Because have you
Yeah,
seen the it's like you got airsoft, you got paintball, you got Nerf guns, you got gel blasters now. And
yeah,
then have you seen the ones where they're doing like archery, like Nerf archery or something? Like it's
yes,
yeah.
yeah. The foam tip archery,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that. Not sure how I feel about that one, and all, because there's still a shaft behind that, but good.
I'm saying, I'm
Yeah,
thinking, what? Okay, like I don't know, man. I don't know.
yeah. I
If
mean,
somebody pulls that thing,
yeah, they're pretty low poundage bullets, but at the same time, if you go past the 28 inches, it starts loading after that. So if somebody wants to like fully draw, they could
uh-huh.
get it from being a 25-pound bow to like a 30-pound plus bow.
Yeah, and if you're close, man, I don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, I do sharpening at archery events like once every few months,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, a lot of fun being around those kind of people and like how many compound bows you see and just all that kind of stuff. So I've talked to a few of those guys about that because a few of them actually go and like play that like Nerf archery tag or
Mm,
whatever the heck it is, and they
yeah.
enjoy the heck out of it, which cool as hell.
Yeah. So have you ever, I don't even know if this is a thing that people do. Do you do archery tips? Do the
Yep,
boat
yeah,
they
like
get sharpened?
broadheads.
Broadheads?
Yep, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. So those are an interesting. I've only gotten a few on that, but at the same time, they're something very easily sharpenable and very much so fun to do.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I feel
Like,
like some of the smaller things that you're sharpening, like the like a broadhead or like these clipper blades or whatever, I feel like they would be really difficult to sharpen because they're so like it's not a whole lot of space to hold on to them or something. I don't
correct.
know.
Well,
You have to
that's
clip
still
them.
one of the banes to my existence is those clipper blades, just for the fact of they're not flat sharpened on the inside; they're lightly convexed on the inside.
Really?
So they're an absolute nightmare. Like, I mean, the machine to actually properly sharpen them is about 4 grand.
Oh Lord.
And it doesn't like no abrasives, none of that kind of stuff. It's literally just a spinning wheel, and that's
Whoa.
it. Yeah. So I
I
try
mean,
every way to like MacGyver or makes like I mean that's the whole 1x30 because originally I was working with that the work sharp with that red belt that you can see in the picture.
right here.
But yeah, so that's originally what I was using,
Mm,
and it broke down on like the motor just completely shut down.
Mm.
So I was calling Jeff and his dad, and I was kind of debating between getting another one of those or getting a 1x30 from Harbor Freight and modifying it the way that I have done now.
Yeah.
And so called up Jeff because I talk a lot of business with Jeff and that kind of stuff just to bounce ideas off of him.
Sure.
And so that sharpener right there is about $200.
Okay.
Harbor Freight 1x30 is $50.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but the 1x30 is I had to build the frame and all that kind of
Mm.
stuff, add the angle. So about $100 total
Okay.
with all the like bells and like me doing all the work, and that's not me accounting for my time of the work. So,
Gotcha.
but I wouldn't go back to that the work sharp one just for the fact of it's a cool system,
Mm-hmm.
but it's those belts wear out really quick,
Yeah.
and the unit is really expensive.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Especially,
so
yeah, if you got a, you know, well, if you got yours, $50, and then you got your special, like, where's your,
yeah,
let's see. I know we saw it up here. I just want to see the difference between the machine you have now.
apparently I need to post a picture of the 1x30.
I thought it was the one. What is this here?
That's a
Oh no,
chainsaw
that's a
sharpener. That's the
chainsaw.
Harbor Freight chainsaw sharpener. That's
A hot mess. Okay, it's garbage.
hot mess.
It's
Hot
garbage,
mess.
baby. Okay. Yeah, I thought the we could see it. Where was the one picture where you were
Right.
sitting in the
Oh,
back of your truck?
up a few rows. A little bit more. A little bit more. Left hand side, about just underneath the WD-40.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you
So
built the wood stuff here.
yep, built the frame. Not exactly my best work, but at the same time, it
That's nice.
works and it functions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I bought a second one and built a second one on a slightly thinner frame because that's 3/4 inch. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's maple. I don't know off the top of my head because that's just a coating on the outside of it.
Sure.
But so the other one that I have is I think half inch. So it's a little bit lighter, but it's so much better. So like having to screw the bit because originally that uh 1x30 is vertical. So that belt is going up and down
Oh,
to the ground as opposed to coming
really?
like, yeah. So
Okay.
they're great little sanders, but for me, like modifying it ever so slightly and do like
Mm-hmm.
I will not go back to that work sharp. Although it's so much better. The abrasive lasts so much longer, and it
Really?
just
That's
flies
awesome.
through. Yeah, but I can thank Jeff and his dad for that one because I wouldn't have like actually gone through the process of building that sharpener if I hadn't reached like talked to Jeff that day and gone, well, I just because like I said, the motor just died on me on the
Right.
work sharp one.
Oh,
So
I
I was without
see.
a sharpener. Yeah, so
This is
that flat
like a guide. I mean a brace or
flat
something
flatten.
under.
Yeah, so that's basically like if you had the table on it, that would be the back brace. So what you'd press up against, like if you were sanding a piece
Mm,
of wood or something like that, which
that's right.
the angle guide slides onto that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They're
Well,
sweet little system. They move a little fast, but at the same time, as long as you're careful and you know what you're doing, they're a great system.
right. And it's not like you're not turning this thing on and just like
Hogging
press
material.
weight on this thing. Like you're not really like you're kind of barely pushing on it. Like you're not
Right. Well, I
grinding
little to
shit
no
out of this
pressure.
thing.
Right.
Right.
Little to no pressure.
Uh-huh. Like the weight of the blade almost.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
But
just hold it in place.
yeah.
Interesting, man. That's cool. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
my like I said, my buddy that I worked with, his name was Eric as well. He was always every night he'd come in. He'd pull his little knife out of his pocket. He'd always have a different knife. Okay, like this one I've had on me forever. Okay, the
Yeah.
same one. He'd pull something different out all the time. He's like Kershaw, like expensive
Yep.
ones.
Yeah.
And he'd pull it out. He's like, dude, let's get a piece of paper. Let me show you. He's like, let me see your arm. Let's cut some hair. Like it was. And he bought these guides that were the 20-degree angle, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you got to go 20 degrees. I was like, oh, I don't know. I never really when I was sharpened all my past blades when I was a teenager and then growing up, my dad taught me on a stone
Right.
and he didn't say like a certain
Do it.
number of degree. Yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
just, it's like you
Match
got to
the
look at
angle.
it, and yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
the old Sharpie trick where like you color the line on it and
yep,
try and remove the Sharpie. I mean,
uh-huh,
you're just trying to match the edge that's there. In all honesty,
exactly.
yeah, and I mean that's the ultimate goal: remove as little as possible and get it as sharp as possible.
Right. So you don't end up like this, where this is part is supposed to be serrated and it's not. Okay. Like I've taken so much metal off of this blade over
Well,
the years.
no, in all honesty, I've gotten a few knives that are combo blades. I've changed them instantaneously to not combo blades. I hate combo blades with a passion.
I could not stand this serrated part. I really
Right,
couldn't, especially as
right.
a with a blade this short.
Uh huh.
Like it gets stuck. Like I'm trying to cut something, bro, and it's getting stuck because of
Right.
that first,
Yeah, either
tooth or
give me a
whatever.
fully serrated knife or give me a plain and
Yep.
give me the playing edge. I don't want the serrated
Right.
knife.
Exactly. Man, what a cool experience that you're doing here with yeah, I've never really thought of I guess I've never seen anyone that goes around here and
Okay.
sharpens stuff. So I
Yeah.
never really thought of it. Like I mean, I sharpen our lawnmower blades with
Flap
with
disc.
that I
Yeah.
use that file, a metal file.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I use a
mean,
metal file.
definitely works good. I either will, well, for the
Or angle
majority of it,
grinder.
yeah, angle grinder with a flap disc and then finish it off on the 1x30.
Okay.
And I mean, they, I recently did one for a landscaping company and the guy was putting the blade back on. He comes over, knocks on my window, and he's like, "Hey, you have a band-aid? I didn't realize how sharp blades were."
He wasn't
Yeah,
used to
so
it.
nope, he wasn't at all. Which
He's grabbing
I'm
the blade like, okay, oh shit.
yeah, no, it's a extremely common occurrence that I'll get somebody like sending me a text message or a Facebook message and say, "Yeah, I didn't realize how sharp these were," and like a picture of their finger that's bleeding or something along
Uh-huh.
those lines.
Oh
So
my gosh.
every time I leave a customer's house now, it's be very careful.
So you've been around a lot of knives and a lot of
Yes.
shoppy things. What's your favorite knife thing item to sharpen? Whether it's the easiest or whether it's the most something you're most proud of, or
Weirdly enough, garden tools are one of my favorite things to do.
really?
Like loppers and that kind of stuff. The factory edges are garbage. Like complete and utter garbage.
Okay.
Yeah, you sharpen those and it goes from, okay, yeah, you have to exert a lot of force to cut through branches and it kind of just wants to put, like, the whole thing of me saying a polished edge versus a toothy edge.
Yeah.
You put a toothy edge on loppers and you mow through stuff. It is night and day difference.
Yeah.
But those are one of my favorite things. I really enjoy like larger blades like katanas, kukris, a little bit more challenging. I love, I mean, kitchen knives are kitchen knives. They're simple, easy, they're
Yeah.
very rinse and repeat. I mean, I tailor the edge to every person. So if I notice, hey, your edge looks really beat up, okay, I'm going to increase the angle, all that. So I tailor it to the person as opposed to I'm
Nice.
not a one trick pony. So,
Yeah.
and that's my competition is he does every blade the exact same way, whether it be a machete, the Benchmade,
Oh
all that kind of
God.
stuff. They're
I use a
all done.
machete. I use a machete. I love a machete. And you cannot
Mm-hmm.
put a long whatever. What do you call like a when you're like a long like whatever that kind of sharpening that he's
How
doing?
we really thinned it out. That
Yeah,
like
thinned it
really
out.
yeah. So thinned it
A
out, and
thin
that thin secondary bevel. So the primary bevel is, get out an example. So you've got the spine of it. Primary bevel is the first angle from the spine, and then the secondary bevel is the edge bevel. It could have a like tertiary bevel or something along those lines, but typically you've got two bevels. This has only got the one bevel because I mean it's got a taper down to
mm.
that. But yeah, so yeah.
So a machete, yeah, I've used machetes thousands of times. I
Yeah.
can't imagine
Those
putting
are
a thinner
stupidly,
like
yeah.
making it thin on there,
But
dude. No, because there's a lot of times I'm swinging, I'm hitting. like kudzu. Okay, in the South here we have this stuff called kudzu, and
Yep.
it's real viney. Okay,
Yeah.
you need something really sharp to cut through it,
Yep.
but behind it, it's gonna, it grows around all kind of stuff. So it grows
Okay.
over everything,
Right.
and so I'm hitting really thick wood. I'm hitting rocks. I'm hitting, you know what I mean,
Okay.
like all
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So I can't imagine. I need a blunt kind of
Yeah. More obtuse angle.
obtuse angle. Exactly.
Yeah. Which for me, like the most acute I will go on a machete is about 20 degrees. And that's really, really acute for a machete. And that's saying one side 20 degrees. So when you're doing knife angles, you have inclusive or exclusive. So inclusive is the total angle. So if I'm saying 20 degrees, it's actually 40 degrees as an inclusive
Oh,
because it's doing both sides.
gotcha.
But when I say like 17 degrees, it's 17 degrees per side, 20 degrees per side. I
Gotcha.
don't ever reference to like the 40-degree, like the
Okay.
inclusive angle, just for the fact
Gotcha.
of yeah, no, I find it weird terminology, people that use the whole angle as opposed to angle per side, so to
Right.
speak. But yeah, no, so
Absolutely.
he'll let machetes at 5 degrees.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, but
That's
those,
pointless.
right, exactly. I mean, and soup, like ultra, ultra, ultra fine polish, which next time you sharpen your machete, put a lightly toothy edge on it and watch it bite into, like I did. My dad had a machete from like Columbia or something. He bought it on eBay or something, but you could balance a quarter on it. There was no edge. So put an edge on it and got to experiment with different edge. So originally started with a slightly more kind of like how I did kitchen knives, and it cut, but it wasn't cutting fantastic. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try doing a like 120 grit finish. So
Hmm.
did the 120 grit finish and deburred it and went to cut the blackberry out here. And it not only goes into it, but it bites into it as you're cutting.
Yeah.
So instead of it being like that and pushing down the
Pushing it away.
blade, yeah, it's pulling towards
Uh-huh.
it. So oh, yeah, I still get shivers. That was too much fun. Like I just get shivers when I get to sharpen something and it completely blows my mind.
Maybe
Like,
that's why my machetes always worked so well when I go to chop, because I don't ever find like buff the edge.
yeah, you just
I'm
use the
using it.
file or something along those
Uh-huh.
lines.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
cool.
yeah, it's sharpening is a wild thing,
It really
absolutely
is.
wild. Yeah, and I mean, I get nutty and nerdy about it. I mean, almost as much as airsoft. I mean, me and Jeff get massively nerdy about like airsoft and volume ratioing and all that kind of stuff. But knife sharpening is probably the number one thing. Is like I get massively nerdy
I
over.
love it, man. Well, I love when people are passionate about something, you
Right.
know, because
Right. Well,
it's
I mean,
it's
you get an honest opinion out of that kind of stuff too. Because like for me, when I first saw that Benchmade, I almost cried because it just hurt. It hurt me so much
I
inside
I looked at it
seeing
and
that stuff.
started cringing. I was like, dude, what?
Yeah. Well,
Why?
and he does all the knives like so. I've seen
Uh,
too many knives like that are like that now,
yeah.
and it just hurts my soul because
Well, the thing
one,
too is you're a nice guy. You're honorable and mature. So you're not going to go out here. You don't want to bash the guy. You don't want to throw
right?
under the. But you're not trying, even though it's your competition in
Yeah.
business or whatever. But it's you're handling it professionally. That's
Yeah.
good.
Well, weirdly, he gets very, very, very defensive of that stuff too.
That
So
does
like,
not surprise me.
well, I mean, yeah, like a lot of the chefs or stuff like that. Like, I just recently did a golf course, and the chef was talking like he saw this sharpener post on a page and commented under because he had done some really bad work to his knife. He's like, "Hey, don't go to this guy because he
Mm,
did this, this, and this." So the sharpener messaged my client from the golf course and said, "Hey, don't badmouth me on a public page."
mm,
Like, sent him a private message saying
yeah.
that. So, I mean, he's more, if you're going to do
Dude,
bad
that's called
things,
Google reviews. I mean, good Lord.
right? Exactly. And even on Google, so one of his Google reviews blows me away. So, are you familiar with single bevel versus double bevel knives?
No.
So, explain. So, double bevel is it sharpened both sides. So the 20 degrees one side, 20 degrees the other side.
Yeah.
A single bevel is really common in like Japanese cutlery and that kind of stuff for like sushi, where you need it to be super fine. It's only sharpened on one side, kind of like a chisel.
Huh.
So
Oh, I
he
didn't know
has
that.
he has a review on Google where somebody said, yeah, no, he changed my Japanese single bevel to a double bevel,
Oh, so it pretty
which
much ruined it.
absolutely,
Oh my gosh.
because that single bevel also has, so it has the chisel part of it, and then on the back side where it's flat, it's ever so slightly convex, so that when you're
Mm.
cutting a piece of meat or something like that, it doesn't hydrolock to the metal,
Yeah,
so it
it'll
releases.
stick to the. I do that all the time when I'm cutting stuff, whatever, with these cheap ass kitchen knives I have, and I have, they're double bevel like that,
Yeah.
and I cut through something and I have to peel it off.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it just sticks
Yeah.
to it. Okay.
But that's what the Japanese bevels are specifically for. It's like sushi, where you want it to be ultra fine, ultra precise, pretty. It
Uh-huh.
can't be sticking to the blade, or else it's going to look like it's chewed up.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Oh my
that,
gosh.
and he responded, and this is the funny. So the guy wrote that review on Google. The sharpener responded and said, "Hey, if you wanted something different, all you had to do was tell me."
No, you're supposed to know. You're the
Oh no,
sharpener.
right? You don't change a single bevel to a double bevel. I am sorry, but and he jumps on people like that. It's not
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, you're actually being a good business owner. You're being a shady person.
it is. And I've seen reviews like that, man. I've seen comments on places I've been, when I go to do Google reviews on maps or
Right.
whatever, and I go somewhere and I see comments or reviews and then the comment from the business owner. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, some of them just make me shake my head like, bro,
Right.
you're 50
Well,
years old, you've owned this business for 20 years and you're acting like this. Like,
yeah. I
when are
mean,
you
it's
going
the
to
whole
grow up?
right. And okay. Be humble about things. Okay, if
For
somebody
real?
calls you out on an error that you made, hey, one, we're human. We're gonna make mistakes.
Like, hey,
Own up to
okay, I
that.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you make an honest mistake, okay, one, if I screw up something, I'm going to want to fix it
Yeah.
because morally, I feel wrong doing something bad to a person.
Right.
So if somebody calls me out on it and says, hey, this isn't as sharp as it needs to be, my comment's going to be, hey, I'm sorry that this is the experience. Let me make it up to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which,
Good for you, man.
yeah.
We need more business owners like that.
Well, partial small business owner. That's the whole thing. Is small business owner, low overhead. But I've been through a lot in my life, and that's part of the reason why I am who I am.
It is. And yeah. So there's some people, as I was going, and this isn't just from coming out of this illness, but, this, anything you go through in life, if it's difficult, we have a choice to be bitter or better. And this is a book I read a long time ago, and a lot of
Absolutely.
yeah. And that is really personal choice. Like,
Yep.
are you gonna let this thing break you, or are you gonna go ahead and become stronger going through this process?
Right.
And
Are you
some
going to let the
people,
darkness drag you down,
yeah,
or are you going to take it and say, "Hey, I'm learning from this"?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real, man. That's and that is personal choice. And sometimes it's maturity. Sometimes it's yeah. So sometimes people that are not humble, they're very defensive. Maybe they have gone through some things in life, difficulties, hardships, whatever, but they've let
Right.
it kind of ruin them, like I
Yeah.
had a buddy that his wife left him, and this kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it was even years later, he's just really, really negative about it. He's like, he hasn't come to terms with, he really kind of narcissistic about it. Like, he's blaming
Gotcha.
that person instead of taking responsibility for some of the, in a relationship, there is
Right.
two people. Okay.
Right.
Um, so you're part of it. Even if you're the best person, like, there's still some things that you could take responsibility for. And
Right.
yeah, so that's
Do a little self reflection and
yeah,
realize, okay, hey, what are
yes.
qualities in myself that I can do better with?
Uh-huh.
Because somebody will benefit off of that.
That's right. Well, Sam, thank you so much, man. It's been great talking with you. Great to meet you. It's so wild that when I get on here and I meet somebody that is complete stranger, and by the time we're done talking, I feel like I made a new friend.
Right.
And almost always, bro, it's like these people I meet through here, no matter where they're at in the world, is that they are such good, honest, like honorable, good character kind of people. Like
Yeah.
for real, man. I really
Right.
appreciate what you're doing, and you're spreading positivity with your business and just how you are as a person. So thank
Yeah.
you for
Well,
that.
thank you for, yeah, thank you. Right back at you. I mean, that's one thing that I really do miss from like the airsoft days and that, like when I'd go to swap meets with Jeff, well, not swap meets, but like big airsoft games and there'd be swap meets, was the interaction with all the amazing people. I mean, that's part of the reason why I like the archery events is because I'm around very like-minded people
Hmm.
and they're very holistic, real, and not, they actually want to be there as opposed to kind of not wanting to be there and being forced to be there. It's you're there for fun and you can grow as a community and grow with the people around you. And
Hmm.
it's just harboring like good people, which
Absolutely.
I love it.
Good, man. Well, it shows. It shows.
Yeah.
Well, let everybody know where they can find all your stuff and follow your Sam's sharpening and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sam's Mobile Sharpening on Facebook and also YouTube. That's easy one to find. Instagram, I think it's the same thing. I don't. I mean, I post you. Everything is on. Like if you go to the Facebook, look up Sam's Mobile Sharpening. All the link. There's a link tree that gets you to everything from there. And I mean, there. I ever do every YouTube video and have the link tree in the comments. But yeah, it's if you search Sam's Mobile Sharpening, you'll find it pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Thank you so much, man. I hope you have a good night.
Right. You too. Take care.